Hello, thank you for joining. This is Quarantunes for Percussion. I'm Mr. Spur. Quarantunes, Quarantunes, we're stuck inside with Quarantunes. So today we're going to sight read some more 8th note rhythms, then a 16th note rhythm, and then we're going to keep on looking at that 9-stroke roll. So right here on the board, I have an 8th note rhythm written out. Let's try counting it cold. Here we are. 1 and 2 and 1, 2, ready, go. 1 and 3, 4. 1, 3 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4. Okay? Take this time to write this rhythm down and then try to write in the countings yourself. I'm actually going to take the time to write them in as well. So, let's take a look at these measures. So, measure 1, we have 2 8th notes, an 8th rest, another 8th note, and then 2 quarter notes. All notes at the beginning of the measure are always on beat 1. Remember, we count 8th notes with numbers and ands. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and therefore this would be an and. This 8th rest right here falls on a downbeat. That's beat 2. Because it's a rest, we're going to leave it blank. This right here is another 8th note, so this is going to be on the end of 2. And then these quarter notes are on beats, so this is beat 3 and beat 4. Measure 2 has a half note, dotted quarter note, and an 8th note. All notes at the beginning of the measure begin on beat 1. Remember, half notes, 2 whole beats. So, we move over here. This is on beat 3. Whenever you put a dot on a note, you're adding half of its value to that note. So, a quarter note is equal to 2 8th notes. So, when you put a dot to it, the dotted quarter note is equal to 3 8th notes. So remember, we got to count 3 and 4, and then this 8th note right here will be on the end of 4. Measure 3, we have 2 8th notes, dotted quarter note, and then 3 more 8th notes. All notes at the beginning of the measure will always be on beat 1. And then this will be on the end of 1. Okay, this is on beat 2. Remember, dotted quarter is 3 8th notes long, so think 2 and 3. So this will be on the end of 3. And then these last 2 will be 4 and. Last measure, we have a dotted quarter note followed by an 8th note, 2 more 8th notes, and a quarter note. First note of the measure is always beat 1. It's 3 8th notes long, so 1 and 2. This will be on the end of 2. And then we have 2 8th notes, 3 and then the last note's quarter notes on the downbeat. So that's on beat 4. Okay? Let's try counting it again. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and count it out. 1 and 3, 4. 1, 3 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4. Now, with sticks in your hand and on a practice pad or a drum or a pillow or mattress on a playable surface, we're going to count out loud and play at the same time. Here we go. 1, 2, ready, and go. 1 and 3, 4. 1, 3 and 1 and 2 and 4 and 1 and 3 and 4. Excellent. Now we're going to look at a 16th note rhythm. Okay, so this is our 16th note rhythm here. It might seem a little scary at first, but with some time, we're going to go through it slowly and we'll figure it out. So, get a good look at it. You might even want to take the time to write this down. And then we're going to read through it cold. We're going to count through this nice and slow with a click. Here we are. And 1, 2, ready, and a go. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E, a 2 E, a 3 E, a 4 E, up. Okay? This one might seem a little challenging for us, but I chose this particular rhythm because it features 4 different patterns consisting of 16th notes and 16ths and 8ths that you're going to see a lot in your career as a percussionist. So, write these down, and then together what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to count these out. So, measure 1 is just straight quarter notes. It's straight 16th notes. Remember, you count those 16th notes, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. I'll write it down for you right now. This is going to be the skeleton of what we do with the rest of this stuff. Now, the rest of the rhythms consist of a beat having 2 16th notes and an 8th note. Something you need to remember is for every 8th note, that can fit 2 16th notes inside. So, each beat can have 4 16th notes in it, or 1/8 and 2 16ths, which is what we're dealing with these next 3 measures. Take a look at this measure right here. The pattern has an 8th note with 2 16ths. So, with the 8th note, that's going to take up 2 16ths. So it's going to take the 1 and the E. But we don't say E because this is an 8th note. And then the next 2 16ths, it'll be and up. And then we'll apply that to the rest of the measure. So it'll go 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and up. Got it? Okay. Look at the third measure right there. It's kind of like the second measure, only the rhythm is flipped. So instead of having the 8th note at the beginning, it's at the end. The 16th notes are at the front. So remember the skeleton up top, 1 E and a. Remember how many 16th notes fit into an 8th? That's 2. And let's apply it to this. So we have 2 16ths, that will be 1 E. And then we have the 8th, that falls on the and. It's also going to hold on to the but you don't say it because the 8th note is going to hold on to those 2 16th note beats. Okay, let's add it to the rest of the rhythm. 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Got it? Let's look at this last one. This one seems a little tricky at first. We still have an 8th note and then 2 16ths, only this time the 8th note smashed in the middle of those 16ths. So this is what we're going to do. We have a 16th note at the beginning, that's going to be on beat 1. And then the 8th note follows, that will be on the E. But because the 8th note holds 2 16th notes, it's going to have the E and the and. Don't say the and because it's already in this 8th note. And then the last 16th will be the Okay? Let's apply this to the rest of the rhythm. 2 E, 3 E, 4 E, So, when you're doing the skeletal pattern right there, you're going to notice when you have these playing right there, there's going to be 1 16th note missing. And I'll show that to you later on. Right now, we're going to try counting this out loud together. Here we are with the Met. 1, 2, ready, and go. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 E, 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E, up. I know it's really tricky. You and I stumbled there. Now we're going to count that again, only this time I want you to pay attention to where I'm going to click my stick. Where I click my stick is going to be the missing 16th note in that skeletal pattern for these 8th note and 16th note phrases. Let's see how well I do. Here we are. 2, count with me, go. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E, That's a little tricky there. But as you notice, where I clicked my stick there, that's where that missing pattern was. Okay, or that missing 16th note. Now we're going to try playing it together as a group. Here we are. Sticks in hands, and I want you to count these out loud too. Here we are. Set. 1, 2, ready, and play. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E, Okay, if you need to rewind and work through that some more, that's totally fine. That's why we have these videos. Now we're going to look at the 9-stroke roll. So here we are. We're going to revisit the 9-stroke roll once again. As you can see, it consists of 9 notes with 4 doubles and then a tap at the end there. So it'll go right, right, left, left, right. And then make sure you practice the reverse. Left, left, right, right, left. Last time we were working on this, we were at the tempo of about 50. This tempo now is about 64. Let's try playing through this together. 2, ready, and go. Right, right, left, left, right. Left, left, right, right, left. Right, right, left, left, right. Left, left, right, right, left. Right, right, left, left, right. Left, left, right, right, left. Right, right, left, left, right. Left, left, right, right, left. Make sure you're still getting used to that double feel in your hand. Throw, catch, or feel both in your hand. Right, right, left, left, right. Left, left, right, right, left. Okay, try it once again. 2, ready, and go. Right, right, left, left, right. Left, left, right, right, left. Right, right, left, left, right. Left, left, right, right, left. Right, right, left, left, right. Left, left, right, right, left. Right, right, left, left, right. Left, left, right, right, left. Make sure you're practicing these rudiments every single day so that way it gets more comfortable in your hands. Okay? Thank you very much for joining. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or contact me on the contact page on my website. Have a nice day and stay safe out there.